Hi, Ramzi.
Hello, everybody.
Perfect. You can hear me. Amazing. Yeah, thanks everyone for coming. Also to you, Ramzi, thanks for joining. We're very happy to have all of you here. And yeah, just a short introduction to Ramzi, and then we will have the same procedure as before. We'll have a presentation and then a Q&A. And yeah, please feel free to post your questions into the chat. Yes, with Ramzi, we have someone with 20 years of experience in the IT and digital industries, working at Oracle for over 10 years, being director of demand center and presets at Fujitsu, head of strategy online partnerships at Google. He's working now 6 years for SAP, currently as head of GP digital demand and being responsible for building and running a next generation multi-channel cloud business acquisition machine for the whole of Middle and Eastern Europe. Yes, I'm very excited to have you on board, Ramzi, and I'm very much looking forward to your presentation about go-to-market strategies and multi-channel B2B sales. So please fill in any detail that I might have left out in your introduction, and yeah, happy to have your presentation now, and I will zoom out. See you later, guys.
Okay. Thank you very much to everybody. Thank you for the introduction, Tom. So my name is Ramzi Musa. I'm based in Berlin. And as Tom mentioned, actually, I'm heading the area of demand generation, so B2B acquisition, mainly in the mid-market in our region. Yeah. And what I would like to do today is to share with you some insights. So first of all, why do we have so much focus on the topic of digital selling at SAP? Because we consider this as key for success to capture the market, especially in the mid-market, especially if you have like a lot of customers to approach. And also what have been the main drivers, how did we start the journey, and maybe also for you to share some best practices if you are considering rolling these programs out, what to consider. The focus in this session is really on the sales side. Yeah, so it's really about how to set it up for success with your salespeople. Yeah, of course, marketing and sales these days, you can't separate the topics. It needs to be connected very closely. It needs to be aligned in terms of KPIs, and I would consider marketing as key for providing the infrastructure, the data, which does fuel digital selling. Yeah, but I think on the sales side, what I observe also, we talk a lot with partners who are joining us on the journey. This is, I think, the most critical part to get this right and to get this set up correctly and to put more effort on this side. Yeah. If it comes to digital selling or social selling, yeah, so I'm using the terms digital selling because it's a bit broader than social selling. For me, social selling is limiting the topic a bit to the networks. Yeah, whether digital selling does include the process behind it, in general, the way you interact, maybe using video and so on. And this is why I like more the term digital selling. But like when we look at how we started with social selling at SAP in 2012. Yeah, and we did pilot it with the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Yeah, at this time we did set it up for a team, 50 licenses. Yeah, in 2012. And if you see where we are now, we have almost the whole SAP Salesforce enabled and rolled out with the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So we are talking about like 18 to 20,000 people with Sales Navigators up and running live. Yeah, and for us, this is really these days key. I can't imagine how to do modern B2B sales anymore without that kind of infrastructure and that kind of tools. So we consider this as really a key tool and also included in our enablement path if we talk about sales, modern B2B sales. And I will cover in a minute also what I mean for on it if I talk about modern B2B seller. Just a few topics I would like to cover. We will see in terms of time how far we can get on this. So just a short introduction in terms of, okay, look, what has been our drivers, to go that journey. It's not just it's on one hand the changing world and the behavior of buyers, but it's also, and I think this is very important, we as a company maybe approaching new products, going after new segments. So this is of course like another big driver for us to change the way we are selling. Also, just to cover the recent topic of COVID-19, and many of you have been impacted, but for us, we see that we have been prepared, to continue doing business in a COVID-19 environment. And we have been also able during that time to still do business with our prospect and customers. And I would like to comment on this, what has been the reason for this. Then to cover a bit, how do I see a modern B2B seller? What are the attributes of it? Then depending on time, I might cover also new roles we have implemented. If it comes to digital selling, we thought, okay, look, in the new world, the classic roles of telemarketing and sales is not enough. We need to go another way. To give you a short example, what do I mean by a digital sales cycle? And then best practices in general on how to develop these capabilities. And I try to make it a bit interactive, so I've prepared a few questions. Let's see how it works with this tool. If I look at sales, in like how to stay successful in a world, and at very few, you all might have seen a lot of numbers, about, okay, how do B2B buyers do research? How do they consume the content? How many people do you need to involve these days to make a B2B decision? And this is all, of course, changing the sales cycle, and that's impact on how a salesperson must interact on these days. And just to take out a few numbers, almost 60% of the journey is done before a sales rep gets involved. So this means for us, we need to get much closer to the customer, because we can't wait for them to come to us. And we might be already on a short list or not, without having a chance to pitch or to compete. The other thing is that 75% of the buyers do research on social media, about the vendor. So the topic of like how to be present as a company on social media, how to be present as a salesperson, because your company is a brand, but also you as a salesperson are a brand. I mean, I do Google if I have an interaction with somebody beforehand, and I have already first impression, before I get on the first call with somebody, based on the way he does represent himself or herself in the social world. And then, of course, we would not do it if we would not believe that we can be successful and sell more. And also you as a sales rep would not invest time and effort in these kind of topics if you would not believe that it makes you more successful. And we can see it. I mean, this is external data showing you that, for example, almost 80% of sales reps who really leverage social selling are more likely to achieve their quota and do outperform their peers. And we can also see it within our data, that being active, being present on social media, does have an impact on the sales success. And it's not just about, from time to time I post something or I do tweet and then I get an immediate result. It's being on and present all the time, continuously, and not just like a campaign and then I'm off again. And this will impact your business by better conversion rate if you call somebody, by just because you have built up a brand. It's like you go in the supermarket and buy something, you recognize the brand. The same applies for salespeople if they are active and in a good way on the social world. This is like more like the external drivers, how the market has changed and so on. If I look at from a company perspective, of course we have this changing buying behavior, but in our case, and this may be the case for some of you also, it's not always just about big accounts, because if you are talking about a few big accounts you need to cover, you could say, okay, look, I might find some way still without social selling to get into this account and to sell. But if you are covering a territory, volume, a lot of customers, you will never have enough salespersons to have an intense coverage of those. So therefore, this going after a certain segment, which requires you to go after many customers and sell many deals, has, let's say, created the urgency to go after social selling and digital selling much faster. Also, if we look at the effort per sales cycle, you can, of course, in an ideal world, you can spend a lot of time, doing high intense sales cycle, making a proof of concept in every case, one-to-one engagement, visiting the customer and so on. But then you are not profitable. This is not, you can't afford this. So you need to find a way, and we are talking about complex B2B products here. It's not like products which are easy to to understand sometimes, or that they are like low cost. So we are talking about projects where we have a large sales cycle, sometimes more than a year, high investments, and still it is possible to engage people online on this. And then, of course, if it comes to net new name, the new customers, it's not about only upselling and cross-selling in your existing database. It's going after customers you never have sold before. Also, what we have looked is that you need to build a so-called, I call it like a remote selling infrastructure. So, of course, a web conference tool is a first step. But then if you really want to drive digital selling, then you need to think about, okay, look, what do I need to provide to the sales force, to easily do digital selling? Because an example, let's take video. You don't want your sales force to become experts in video cutting and doing video production. So you need to find a way to provide them an easy to use tool, that on their iPhones or whatever smartphone they use, they can record the video and send it to the prospects. And this is what I mean by infrastructure. You need to provide this to lower the effort for adoption for the sales force. Then, of course, the topic of lead quality, sales expectations. There's a need to align more. Often you hear on the sales side, okay, look, this is what marketing is providing me is not enough. The quality is still too high effort for me to develop it to become an opportunity so I can sell. And this is really, a good conversation you need to have between the departments to make sure, okay, what is the expectation? How do we align? How do we measure marketing accordingly? And what is it really that marketing can realistically deliver? Because acquisition is not just the marketing topic, it's also a sales topic. You can't afford, to rely only on marketing. If it comes to acquiring new business, you need both. Otherwise, you waste resources and the opportunities. Then, of course, the topic of GDPR, Datenschutzgrundverordnung in Germany, has been also very important, because traditional methods, cold calling, does not always work. Under certain circumstances, it works. But that's really has been like a kind of compelling event, for those who were still not convinced that, being active on these platforms gives you a way of being compliant, GDPR compliant, and still do acquisitions. And then, at least from our side, we have not been very strong in the past to leverage intent data. So in theory, we look, this is our market, this is the potential. These are the customers we would like to acquire. But I think this is the easy part. The difficult part is to understand when exactly, and with which message to reach out to the prospect and customer, because otherwise, you still have 10,000 potential customers. So how do you decide which one to go after today, which one in 2 weeks, and which one you leave? Because your biggest bottleneck is time. So you never have time to go after all your potential customers, yeah, or all prospects. So you need to find a way to leverage signals and data. And this is, for example, something you can do with the sales navigator. You can also buy data and so on. And then to make a decision, okay, this is how do I prioritize my territory? Yeah, I have 5,000 prospects, potential prospects. I could start with A and leave with Z. I could start with the biggest revenue. Yeah, but I think better is if you have signals that you say, okay, look, now is the time to talk to them. If I look at, so you have seen like what has been like externally happening, what have been drivers for us in the company to intensify our efforts on building digital selling capabilities. Yeah, but also like recently, this is very recently, this COVID-19 has also, of course, impacted first of all the way we are approaching the market, but also the way our customers do work with us. And I have to say that for us, of course, we have been impacted, but because of, we started this journey in 2012, yeah, we have enabled our sales force on these topics. The way we try to reach out to customers and to communicate with customers hasn't changed. The opposite was the fact that now with COVID-19, more of our prospects and customers have been available online than in the past. Yeah, and if you look, these are like numbers for us, just to back it up. If what this means, I mean, just before, in Germany, at least the lockdown in like early March, like if this is the baseline, yeah, and what these numbers show is like like how do the amount of relevant search for us. So look, if somebody is looking for certain keywords or has a certain search behavior, and then we try to map it, whether this is addressable with SAP solutions or not. Yeah, and if you look at, like, if you take the baseline in the before COVID world, yeah, then you, of course, you see with the lockdown, with all the private circumstances, the issues people were facing, it went down. Yeah, so the B2B research activity and traffic online went down. Yeah, but it didn't take that long being down. Yeah, so it picked up very fast and went up even higher than in the past. So for us, it means that in May, more of our potential customers and prospects have been, available and reachable for us online and through social media than in March. Yeah, and this is again an opportunity and underlines also the effort we have done, and shows that COVID has really accelerated the transition to digital for many customers. Yeah, not everyone is ready. Yeah, but I think if you are ready and to approach this, then this is also a big opportunity. Now we don't know how long the situation will last, and but the trend can't be reversed. Yeah, so for us, as I said, it has accelerated the transition to digital. It has more prospects and customers spend more time online. So it's a channel which is getting more relevant. Yeah, but of course, if we look at how have the priorities of our customers changed, then the focus is more at the moment on short-term returns and operational priorities. Yeah, for some it's really to survive. For some it's really to digitalize things they have always put on the long bank, to say, look, it's important but not urgent, and now suddenly became urgent. So we changed a bit the focus of our solutions. Yeah, and the topics we are talking about. So we adjusted the message and the content for this. Then I would like to try maybe one poll. Yeah, and Tom, you might, maybe, I'm not sure if I can see it now, but for me, I would like to know from the people in the audience, yeah, if it comes to identifying prospects and acquiring new customers, yeah, how do you approach this for you? Is it something that it's owned by marketing and inside sales, and then your sales reps do follow up the leads? Is it that your sales reps are actively hunting, yeah, or is it a combination of that? Yeah, and maybe Tom, not sure if it works. If you could set it up. Okay, and maybe while the poll is open, yeah, and let's keep it open for a few seconds, and then Tom, you need to give me signal when it's available. I'm not okay. So then let me jump back to the presentation. So we talked about, okay, what has changed, like in general, yeah, what have been our internal drivers, how has COVID affected us, or underlining the journey we went, yeah. And this all, I mean, the journey we started, does have an impact on how a modern B2B seller should look like these days, yeah. And this is something I didn't came up, it's from Forrester, but I think it's a good description on how like a sales rep, like what skills a sales rep these days needs to acquire and how he needs to work. Yeah. So there are some interesting topics. So if you look at like lead quality over quantity, this is always a discussion we have sometimes with marketing. What is worth more? What do we really want? Yeah. Leverage social network for extension. Yeah, it's not just one. It's not just the offline world. It's being present. It's the network is like their market, but also their brand. Is familiar with data. Yeah, so he can understand signals. Yeah, and act accordingly. Omni-channel strategies. Yeah, it's not that you like use LinkedIn Sales Navigator and just through that platform you sell more as a salesperson. Yeah, so we haven't seen it. It's you start a conversation there, and then you approach it multi-channel. So you take the prospect maybe to another platform. You put this. You then go the offline way. Yeah, so you need to be present on all channels and leverage this, and then the combination of these channels will lead them to success. Purposeful outreach, just to mention this. So it's like, and this is very important because we also have seen that these platforms might become a bit like spam platforms. So everyone receives a lot of messages, and through COVID, it has even accelerated. Yeah. So for some people, this is the only way to sell, and you get a lot of messages and not meaningful messages. So it's really important that you don't spam your potential prospects. So if you engage and reach out to somebody, it needs to be purposeful for the person receiving it, not because it's in this prospect is in your hunting profile. Yeah, you need to add value in every interaction with your prospects. Yeah, and I think this is the difficult part. First of all, to make it relevant to the prospects, and this is why the context and the timing is so important. And then second is how to differentiate from all the others doing the same. Yeah, and this leads to a bit of creativity, using a video to leaving a good impression so that you get a response. Yeah, and of course this all works remote. Yeah, I mean this is something which has been relevant over the last years. Yeah, and even in a new remote world, it is still relevant. Yeah. Let me just see. Okay, so Tom said if I come back to the survey, so most of you have a hybrid role. So 80% did answer that sales does both above of the above. So so you would consider sales also playing an active role in hunting and doing acquisition, and also to follow up what marketing is providing. And I think this is the way also we have set it up. You can't afford sales not being active in acquisition. Yeah. So if I look at just to continue this journey, so for us it also came the discussion. Okay, we have marketing and we have sales, but what do we have in between? And many companies have like inside sales roles, either working together with sales or with marketing. As something in between, or covering certain segments and working with a broader partner ecosystem on this. And for us, we thought, okay, look, if we look at how difficult it is these days to really do a modern B2B acquisition, yeah, and what skill set you need, and what infrastructure you need, and what platform you need to leverage. it's moving away from that classic, you know, telemarketing approach that you can cold call people easily and identify, you know, relevant opportunities, high quality opportunities, which do convert into revenue. Yeah. And I haven't come across, you know, agencies who are really on top of the digital selling game. So for us, it was a decision, okay, look, what is it really that we can outsource? Yeah. So if I buy leads or if I work with an agency, yeah, B2B agency to get leads, yeah, combining with cold call, what is it that I get compared to what I really need? And for us, we came to the conclusion that we need to give that topic more relevance, increase a bit the importance. So we have higher valued that role of demand generation. It's a tougher job. Sometimes it's tougher to identify new business than to close it at the end. Yeah. And therefore we did insource this topic and spent a lot of time in higher valuing that role. We rebranded it. And so people doing full-time acquisition with us are called digital demand executives because it comes closer to their real work. Yeah. I've talked a lot about the business networks, yeah, or at least I mentioned this. So for me, I would like to really understand in this audience, yeah, what is more relevant for this? And Tom, you might bring this question up. So if you look at your platform of choice, yeah, and I know a lot might be active on both, but if you really look at your B2B business, yeah, sales, what is more relevant for you? Is it, if you need to make a decision, yeah, is it Xing or LinkedIn, or is it that you can really say, okay, I need both to make my business, yeah? And I would be interested in this. Tom, you might bring this up. Okay. I will comment on this, how I do see this today. And then if I go to, okay, how are we approaching it? Yeah. And what are we providing as infrastructure? At the end, if it comes to digital selling, yeah, I would consider it in like 3 buckets to make it easy. Yeah. So first of all is at the end, which accounts do you want to target? Yeah. Let's say who might be, you know, what is the persona you're looking for? What are the accounts? Where do you feel you have a chance to sell to, and maybe what potential do we have there? Yeah. And then the second step would be, once you have identified the potential accounts, yeah, it then is who exactly do you want to contact, yeah, and when. Yeah, I think this is very important. And then once you have done this step, it's about how to contact, yeah, and we distinguish between, okay, in a social way, in a virtual way, and credible. I mean, credible is key because otherwise it's perceived as spam and you're not adding value. Yeah. Okay. So which account, who, and when, and how to contact. Yeah. And there are many tools out there. Yeah. And I just bring up some of potential tools. It's not that we are using all these tools. Yeah. But if I would bucket them, yeah, and you probably have thousands of potential tools. But if I look at, for example, just as example, which accounts to target, you can buy data, you can use tools like databases, you can use also German provider like EchoBot or more American DB Hoovers. Yeah, so you need to find a way to, you know, to nail down your target segment and your potential. Yeah. Then if it comes who to contact, there are also different possibilities on what to use and how to leverage. Yeah. And how to contact is almost endless what you can do. Yeah. But you see some sales automation tools here like Outreach, which I would consider as key. Then also video tools and things to automate. And you see here, some of them are really free. So it's not that you need a high investment to provide a certain infrastructure, yeah, to your sales force. Yeah. Of course, the more advanced you get, the more you will you might need to invest. Yeah. And if I, from my experience, would consider which accounts to target, this is the most easy part. Yeah. How to contact, you can also get over this. Yeah. So if you have the right tools, the right people, the right mindset, the right skills, you can find good and attractive ways to contact prospects. Yeah. But who and when, I think this is the most challenging. And if I look at my effort now and what I do at SAP, this is the area where we still think that we can improve most and have the biggest impact on on our acquisition machine, yeah, leveraging intent data, the right context, so reaching to the prospect at exactly the right time. Yeah. So if coming back to the poll, yeah, I think it's quite interesting. So 70% of you said it's it's LinkedIn, yeah, the more relevant platform. Only 7%, something like this, for the 7, yeah, said it's Xing, and both are 21%, yeah. And I think this somehow matches my experience. So we have started with Xing and LinkedIn almost equal, yeah. But now, if I, let's say, want to bet on one platform and want to focus my time and my effort on one platform, we are choosing LinkedIn, yeah, because of the relevance. We see our relevant prospects there, and because of the platform, yeah. So if I look at the APIs, the way you can automate things, connect to CRM systems, to sales automation tools and whatever, we see that we bet on LinkedIn, on that platform. Not saying that that Xing is not relevant at all, but if you need, to focus, yeah, then this is what we do. So maybe one topic I did cover, and Tom, you might maybe bring this up also as poll, yeah. For me, I would like in B2B business, like video has become really increasingly important, yeah, and we motivate, yeah, and we try to push our sales force to really send also leverage video and to customers and prospects, yeah. And I would like to understand from you, is it something your sales reps are doing? And I'm not talking about taking a marketing video or a product demo and sending it to a prospect. I'm talking about me as a sales rep. I did have a meeting. Instead of writing an email following up, I just record a small video and say, okay, thank you for the good conversation. This is what I understood. I will follow up, something like this. Or if you do an invitation to an online event, yeah, or a physical event, you can say, look, I send a video out and say, look, thank you. This is me. I'm happy to meet you and talk about your business needs at that booth. Yeah. So I would like to understand if your sales reps are doing it. Yeah. Maybe you can answer, because for us, it's really a big topic. And you can see, so we have really, since 2016, spent a lot of time in that topic. Yeah. And you see, like, in terms of numbers and how much we are leveraging this. And this is really, again, sales reps, yeah, leveraging video to engage with customers, yeah, or people doing acquisition. Yeah. And again, I come back to the point I mentioned at the beginning. You need to provide a certain infrastructure. So we are not talking about high sophisticated market videos. It's really something where you come over authentic. We do record this on our smartphone. We have a tool on it. It's called Bedulicious, but there are many tools out there. And then we send it. And you don't even need a platform. You can do it through Google Drive or YouTube or whatever. Yeah. But it does address the point of differentiating, yeah, and leveraging your brand, yeah, and you leave a better impressions. And some examples here, you introduce yourself, you follow up a meeting, you remind somebody for a meeting, or send your agenda, demo videos, or you haven't not visited, or the customer said, okay, look, interesting, I now have all information. Let's come back in 6 months. Yeah. So how do you overcome this time? Yeah. So there might be video can help you to overcome this time and to stay close to your prospects, to make sure that you are still on top of his mind. Yeah. And this, I think, one recommendation, if you have not gone that journey, to really consider using video more. Maybe, okay, if I look at the poll, yeah, here again, interesting. Yeah, I would have thought it's lower. So, okay, so yes, nobody answered yes. Yeah, some say 50%, and no, not at all, also 50%. Yeah, and maybe just as an input or inspiration, this is something you should consider, because it's, as I said, even in our complex B2B products, high invest products, it is relevant and does help your sales cycle. again, I did mention, and maybe also another poll, coming up. I did mention the relevance of LinkedIn, for us as B2B platform. And I would like to understand, okay, look, are you already on that platform? So do you leverage the Sales Navigator for your B2B acquisition? Okay, this is a bit, yes, more relevant, doesn't make sense. So it's yes, partly, or no. Because as I said, we started with back in 2012, and now all our sales force, and I would consider, like, if I would have to make a choice, one tool or one license I need as a salesperson today, I probably would go after this. And I would be interested in how it is with the audience. And just again to describe, because I talked about digital selling, and just very simple, how could a digital sales cycle look like? And I look at it from a sales perspective. So first of all, you have like target accounts. You try to enrich them with signals, maybe data you buy, maybe you have a system to enrich, signals you are receiving with, and match it with potential. Because it also doesn't make sense from our perspective to go, it of course depends, but to go after every single lead sometimes, if time is your bottleneck. So you need somehow to prioritize. And if you have a lot of leads, then you need to combine it with another data source with at least with potential. And this helps you to prioritize. So you enrich targets with intent data. You leverage the Sales Navigator, for example, with the right contact at the right time, the person. You might send a video, and a video might be like, it should never be generic, so it's video really personalized. It might pick up some quotes, so you might, it's like a modern email, rather than sending something and very generic. You need to maybe say, okay, I've read about this in the news, or I've seen an interview with you about this topic. This is how I would like to work with you, or something like this. Then what we also started to use is to make surveys, pulse checks. So maybe it's a quick poll, to a prospect before a meeting, after a meeting, in between, to get a bit of mood and like a kind of pulse check. Then we do try to showcase things online, and maybe it's like, not sure if the sound works, but it's more an idea on how we do demos online. It's like a kind of TV setup. And then you have a lot of tools where you can do online workshops these days, like Mural, and you can even do a contracting remotely. I mean, this is really, of course, it's not that flow, but you can cover the whole sales cycle digital from a sales perspective. And maybe to come back to the question I did answer about LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Okay, 30% say they are leveraging the Sales Navigator for B2B acquisition and selling. 40% do it partly or piloting this, and the rest, so the other 30%, do not leverage it at all. So from my point of view, this is a high share. Again, without repeating myself, for me, I would consider this as relevant. Interesting to see the results here. And maybe I'm coming almost to the end of the presentation, and before the summary, for me, I would be interested in, like, a final question from you. If you think of all the digital selling, and what I described, so you need data, you need tools, a certain infrastructure, you need a process in place. Maybe it's time and capacity. So I also hear people say, look, I don't have time for digital selling or social selling. I'm busy with other things. Not sure if this is the reason, but this is what I hear. Is it the skill and knowledge? Because not everyone is familiar with video, or people may be shy or not willing to share too much personal stuff. Some consider a social network more like as an online CV for progressing their career. I hear things like, look, it's my personal page. I don't want to do business over it, because I use it for getting the next job and so on. So there are a lot of things. So maybe from your perspective, and Tom, maybe we can set it up as multiple choices. What are the biggest challenges for you if it comes to digital selling? Because I think all of these topics are are relevant, and I will comment what I would consider as biggest challenge from my perspective. Yeah. And maybe to come to the end, it's about okay, how do we develop digital selling capabilities? Yeah, say imagine you would start from scratch. Probably nobody from you will start from scratch, but this is just like some things to consider, because usually it's a change project. Yeah, so it's if you onboard new people and at a certain age and so on, this might not be a problem. But if you're having a sales force which is used to sell in a certain way, then you need somehow to approach it as a change project with all what comes with it. Yeah. So for us, for example, it's look, where do we have the highest urgencies? And this is coming back to at the beginning what has been a driver for us. So first of all, the driver has been the transition to the cloud business. Yeah. So the buying behavior and the kind of products have changed anyway, but also in the market where we need to cover territories. So not in the key account segment. Yeah, we did not start there because there the value would have been perceived least. This changed with COVID, but the biggest need was really in an area where we say we need to sell a lot. The deal sizes are small, and we need to cover the market efficiently. Yeah. Also, nothing from what I shared with you, yeah, even the LinkedIn Sales Navigator, has been developed top down or brought to the business top down. All came bottom up, every single tool. Yeah. So you need to leave space for innovation. Yeah. People will come up with good ideas, but then you as a company, you need to pick it up and to others to adapt and to infrastructure. You need to provide infrastructure, yeah, because it's still high effort, yeah, and you need to find a way on how to make it easy for your sales people to consume, how to build it into day-to-day work, and you can't leave it to everyone on their own to do it. Yeah, so you need to offer centralized services, and this sounds very sophisticated, but a centralized service could be a working student, yeah, taking care of the videos, yeah, and then send it back to the salesperson. It could be somebody helping to enrich data. Yeah, so you need somehow to find a way to lower the effort for your sales force to adapt, because if the effort is too high, they will push back. Yeah. Demand management I did not cover. This is a topic on its own. So for us, like how to better understand intent data, signals, potential is really also a key for success. Sales and marketing alignment is also very important. Yeah, you need to have the same KPIs. Yeah. And to have the same understanding of quality and what does make sense. Yeah, you always will have some people jumping on these topics and some not. Yeah, and you need to find your credible ambassadors, and that's why, for example, if we enable our sales force with digital selling, then we use sales people for it. Yeah, and not marketing people or full-time trainers, because they don't have the credibility. Yeah, so if I'm a salesperson and I can say, look, I have been in your role. I know how the pressure, I have the quarterly pressure. I know the pressure on how to make my number, but still this helped me to be successful. And this is what did work for me. This is a fully different discussion than somebody not with that credibility taking, look, you should use the Sales Navigator. Yeah? So you need to bring up these examples. And then of course, we also work with a huge partner ecosystem. Yeah, so we have resellers, we have people implementing our solutions. It's really important to involve them in the process, because otherwise the customer experience is broken. I mean, you try to come across on a modern way, leveraging digital, social, and so on, and then you hand it over to your partner, and then it goes the old-fashioned way. So this breaks the experience. So for us, it's important to involve our ecosystem, to everyone working with us, and to offer to them also the infrastructure and the enablement. Yeah. Coming back maybe to the question. Yeah. So the top 3 topics, if you remember what I've been asking, was time and capacity. Yeah. 55% answered this. Skills and knowledge, 19%, and tools, 90%. For me, like to summarize here, I mean, these topics always come up, but for me, the biggest topic here is processes, because I think many companies struggle with rolling it out or implementing it because of missing processes. Because if you want to move away from, selling as an art and industrialize this and making scalable, you need to look at your processes. And from my perspective, once you fix the processes, the tools become second priority, because then they are exchangeable. Whatever tool you choose will work if your process is right. And processes address also the topic of time and capacity, because time and capacity often is related to broken processes. So for me, I see the biggest challenge in our processes. And this is something I would recommend to focus more on. So how do you provide content? How do you prioritize content? How do you give feedback on content? How do you distribute content, as example? This is more relevant from my perspective. So again, final slide, and I'm happy to answer questions. So if I summarize this, digital selling does work for us in complex and high invest B2B solutions. Sales is key to it. You can't source it out. Process is important. Much more important than tools from my point of view. You need somehow to offer centralized support to it to lower the adoption effort and to get more people involved. You need people with the right skills, and if they don't have it, you need to enable it. So enablement plays key. So do consider, how do you develop salespeople? How to incorporate digital in it. You need to think on how to differentiate, because everyone is trying to do it, and you need to find a way on how to stand out of the crowd. And you need to treat it as change project. For me, on people who are on like this topic, it's a no-brainer. But at the end, for a salesperson, they need to see the benefit, and the effort they spend, it needs to have a return, and you need to focus on this. It's a behavioral change. Thank you very much.
And we really see that this
perfect. Thank you so much, Ramzi, for joining your insights on your experiences at SAP. And we got a question, or actually two, from Katja. Thank you, Katja, again. She's asking, which skills are mandatory for you to build up such an expertise within a company? Can you answer that?
Yes. Okay. So for me, it's like the way if I see the questions, is also a bit related to the digital demand access, correct? So if I look at the profile of people, so if we look at what hunting profiles, then we look at people who have the ambition to move to sales, but maybe do not have the experience yet. So we are looking for people with sales profile, so good in communication and other behaviors, but maybe not experience to cover a territory or to drive a sales cycle end to end, but with the ambition to go there. And these people we do hire as digital demand executives. We enable them, we make them talk with customers and develop all the skills, and then at one stage we release them for sales.
Okay. Yeah, Katja was going further by asking not mixing marketing and sales representatives, but more looking on a depth skill profile. So basically, you answer that by saying that it's sorry.
Maybe just to comment, because this is a discussion also we also have internal. So what is it that you can buy, and for me it's a classic make or buy decision. So there are which you can, where let's say classic marketing tele profile does fit, so to follow up, chat inbound, to have like follow-ups, to do invitations. So this is something I would say you don't need to build up internally. This might be too expensive. You need to manage this. This is something you can buy. There are a lot of agencies who can do that. But then if you see, okay, look, and you need to nail down, okay, what skills and do you really need for your business? So how deep is product knowledge needed? How deep, like brand. So if somebody Googles you, do you want to represent your company on LinkedIn or Xing and so on? So you need to make that and then say, okay, look, if for that activity, this is what I need to develop internally, because I can't buy it in the quality I expect. And for some activities, you will say, okay, look, it's not worth building it up internally. I can buy it and I have more flexibility because I don't need to hire somebody.
Perfect. Thank you.
Really break it down by the activity and what skills you need to fulfill this activity.
Perfect. Thank you. We got another question from Eva. She's asking, did you find that you also needed to help your customers, prospects with the transition?
Yes, of course. I mean, sometimes it's yes, I mean, like not everyone out there is ready for receiving, that kind of approach. Some people are like surprised maybe to get video, yeah, or it starts with being present, yeah. So like maybe if you are in the manufacturing industry in Bavaria, in logistics, you might not be present there. So we looked at the audiences, yeah. So which are the personas and the audience you want to sell to, who is maybe already more active on these platforms, and started with those. So for example, sales people, HR people, yeah, they are quite. For that we didn't need to do much education. Yeah, we were not overwhelming them. Then with other audiences, we were a bit more, maybe not putting everything in front of them and being a bit more careful. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes total sense. Like the different level the customers are moving and then behaving in the digital or the social selling environment. Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, for me personally, I'm just very interested in the fact that SAP started with social selling very early, and just a comparison to like the competitors you have within the years that SAP started, or maybe even you started in this field. Were you like a pioneer in this field, or did you have competitors starting even earlier? Or yeah, what was the like?
Okay, as SAP person, I have to say, of course, we are better. Yeah, but
of course,
yeah, I think many customers. Look, I have worked for Oracle. They did start their internet sales division in 1995. Internet sales division. Yeah. And I remember when I was starting like my first job, I did do presentations, customer demos, yeah. And the customers were, at the end, they didn't want to buy my product. They wanted to buy the web conferencing tool, because they were not used to it. Yeah. And I think it has been quite a journey. And some companies really started early, like things like Oracle or IBM also. And of course, then everyone has developed their own flavor. Some do this exclusively for certain markets, like mid-markets and not the key segment. Some do it for the whole sales force. So everyone has developed towards a certain direction. But I think the big tech players have been in quite early. Also other companies, if I look at the UK, the insurance, the banking sectors, they are really heavy on this area. Yeah.
Sure, perfect. Thank you so much. I mean, we have 5 minutes to 10. 10, we got our next presentation. So I want to thank you here, Ramzi, for your amazing presentation. Very insightful. I got a lot of positive feedback from all around the world, from Australia to California. So yeah, thanks a lot for your insights. And yeah,
thank you very much.
People. Yeah, of course. Please, the attendees, feel free to ask questions again. We will contact Ramzi and connect you. And yeah, have a good day, Ramzi. And thanks again for joining.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.